I'm fortunate to call the next speaker a friend, collaborator, and fellow peace partner. Pete Blackshaw is a visionary leader whose latest endeavor, BrandRank, epitomizes his commitment to sustainability and an optimistic view of the future. BrandRank, an innovative scorecard system driven by artificial intelligence, evaluates the environmental impacts and sustainability practices of brands, offering clear, actionable insights for companies and consumers alike. With a rich background in digital innovation, from co-founding Procter & Gamble's first digital division to leading global digital strategies at Nestle, Pete has always believed in the transformative power of technology. His work through BrandRank reflects his deep conviction that digital tools can enhance transparency and accountability, empowering businesses to align with eco-conscious values and consumers to make informed choices. Today, as Pete shares his insights, we are reminded of the potential for technology to not only drive commercial success, but also foster a healthier planet. His optimistic outlook and proactive approach to sustainability are paving the way for future generations to thrive in a more responsible and environmentally aware business landscape. Please join me in welcoming Pete Blackshaw.
Okay, great. Wonderful to be here, and really impressed with the audience. And when I got here, I stumbled into a couple of my colleagues, Kate and Abby, and we hadn't seen each other for a while because I left Centrifuge about 2 months ago. And we looked at each other, and the first thing I said was, I can never say no to Jeremy. and I think that's a real brand character that is so important as we try to build these movements. I think there's a sincerity. There's clearly conviction. There's a humility. And I've seen that in other leaders too. Like, one of my heroes is John Pepper, and he could ask me to do anything and I would do it unconditionally. But there's something about the way you're building this movement that I deeply admire and respect. And I think it also flows nicely from the organization that you're building, Pat. I think you embody that as well. And it all starts with trust, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. Like, how do you build trust to build bridges, and to get people to be believers? And I think what you're attempting to do here is so incredibly important. Not just for the peace movement, but even for building a winning innovation ecosystem. One of the things that I said a lot when I was running Centrifuge, or even when I was at Nestle, was that the reason why Silicon Valley wins, really leads the world in innovation, is because you have this collision between two somewhat competing forces: people that want to get really, really rich, and people who want to change the world. And they kind of hate each other, but they desperately need each other, and it works. And you see that in a lot of those early business models, even the early days of Google. It's got almost like a student activist, fervor to it. The mission statements don't feel like they're businesses. They want to change the world. They want to make the world a better place. Sometimes we look back at it and we sort of say, well, yeah, but look what they've become. But in those early days, that's really, really important. And I think we've got a really unique community that can bring those forces together. What I really like about Cincinnati, and it's a big reason why I came back, and it's why I'm really excited to do a startup here, is, we've got this really strong impact community. We've got really big challenges, but we've also got a community that is incredibly supportive of entrepreneurs. And I think what Jeremy and Alloy and others are building here is an opportunity to kind of be a matchmaker of those two. And I think other groups like Alloy do that really well. There's something about peace, I must say, that feels like such an extreme challenge, especially in the world today. And what I've always liked about the peace constituency, I don't know if anybody knows this, but I'm a California native who landed here. I actually went to University of California, Santa Cruz, nestled in the Redwoods. And it was sometimes called a bit of a hippie campus. And I was a bit more conservative. So I always felt a little bit uncomfortable. And sometimes it felt a little bit stereotypical. And I even joke with Jeremy around. But what I learned from that constituency was there was a certain, like, I don't give a hoot what others say, belief in what's possible. Okay. Yes, we can collaborate. Yes, we can end conflict. Yes, we can solve racism. Yes, we can solve all of these issues. And I think that conviction is so important. And I would sometimes, in my practical way, be a little bit dismissive, but I do think that has shaped the way I think about what's possible in innovation ecosystem. You have to be you have to be kind of ambitious. You have to be a little bit unrealistic. You have to almost like set the bar unrealistically high to get others to kind of be there. And I think that's part of what we need to do. Now, I will say there are some things that are emerging that could help us hit the bar a lot faster. And just if you think about like the things that are out there, I've jotted down a few areas that some of these are going to be tackled, over the next day or so. But what we really want to do is build kind of an army of problem solvers in this area. But, clearly climate change is just an area where, you talk about leading to conflict. I mean, think about the real issue behind climate change. It's kind of leading to all these controversies around the border conflicts and the like. But a lot of that has to do with how, climate is impacting, migratory patterns of people. And so, there's like a lot of ways that we can tackle that. All sorts of polarization of society. I think the peacemakers can clearly begin to tackle that. Racial injustice. I think Cincinnati's made a lot of progress, but there's like so much more. I don't think we've really dealt with the economic inequality that I think kind of makes that issue even more complicated. Modern day slavery, food insecurity. I'm on the board of Last Mile Food Rescue, and where there isn't food security, you do have all sorts of conflict. You cannot have peace. And so there's just like a lot of issues that can be addressed. And one of the things that I think I would encourage all the entrepreneurs to think about is I'm a little bit of a romantic about technology. I'm what they call an urgent optimist. New technology like AI can be a big answer to solving some of these issues, but we have to address it with urgency. And we have to see the possibilities. And one thing that is really powerful about the AI revolution, it's really lowering the barriers to access to entrepreneurs, and hopefully members of this movement, in that you can, use data in really, really powerful ways to almost unpack what the story really is. That's one of the things that I found, with AI, you can see the forest for the trees, in data. Sometimes it's really confusing what's really going on. We do that a lot in the zero waste community. Like, where do the food deserts really exist? So we can zero in on the problems. And unlike 18 months ago, where I'd have to go to all of my UC professor friends to do the data modeling, we can all do it in our pocket now. Okay, which means that we have more personal power to address some of these issues. And this community, whether it's Alloy, Centrifuge, there's a whole coalition emerging around AI, is going to be fiercely dedicated to helping entrepreneurs understand how to leverage those more accessible tools as partners on some of these issues that Jeremy and others are highlighting. And I encourage you to really think about that, because to tackle these extreme challenges, we have to believe it's possible, and we have to look at the partners in that process. We need people, we need enabling technology, we need ecosystems to support us, and we need a keen sense of timing. I mean, everything is about timing. And I think I had a pretty comfortable, well-paying job at Centrifuge, and sometimes I was saying, boy, do I just kind of retire in that? Sounds pretty good. But But I think what was really compelling to me is that we're in a moment right now, like a massive technology shift, a little bit of a level set, right? And the opportunity to really make powerful things happen has never been greater. That's no guarantee. You know, there isn't a day I don't wake up and fear failure, but that also makes me really entrepreneurial. I always find like new ways that AI could help me. So I guess that's my way of encouraging. I think this issue on a standalone basis is important, but we're also in a really unique inflection point in history where we might be able to tackle these things with in ways that we would have never imagined. And I really encourage you to take advantage of that. And my pledge to you is that I think all of you know that my weakness is saying yes, but I do always want to help anybody who has who's trying to figure it out. And sometimes it's just a quick connection to someone. I think Alloy believes in the same principle, but there's just like a lot of committed people in this community that are kind of, pledged to help solve these issues. So take advantage. And to some extent, all of you are bought in because you're in the room. I think your critical homework assignment is to let others know this is real. I'm sure there are people in Cincinnati rolling their eyes. What the hell? But this is real. And these issues can be addressed. So you have to reduce that dissonance, soften those stereotypes, because again, you cannot build a winning innovation ecosystem unless you put those constituencies that I mentioned early on together. So I wish you the best of luck. I'm kind of beyond flattered that you invited me to speak. And again, let's keep networking on this issue. Let's keep believing that big things are possible, and let's put Cincinnati on the map.